I'm very glad to have a little play of mine produced at the Wexford Arts Centre, of which I have fond memories. I've done quite a few readings there. I love the building, I love the area. There's a wonderful pub just across the way, which I frequently go to. My play is called Prince Charming and the Dame. My idea of theatre is that it should be burlesque, it should be a theatre of action. I don't find naturalistic plays very compelling, so mine is a kind of pantomime of pantomime. It's short and it's succinct, and I hope it's funny.
Hello everyone, my name is Owen Colfer and I am one of the WexFour authors. And WexFour is a special commission to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Wexford Arts Centre. And myself, Billy Roach, Colin Tobin and John Banville are putting together 4 20-minute shows which fit together beautifully, almost seamlessly, that talk about life in Wexford or away from Wexford. But Wexford is certainly the central theme running through the piece. And the reason that I would agree to do this, in fact I would have volunteered to do it, is first of all for the Arts Centre, because I've been a member here and a supporter and an enjoyer of the Arts Centre for maybe 25 of those 40 years, and I got my start here as a young writer when a friend of mine and myself, we built an entire pub to be the set of my first play, and we carried it up the stairs, and I think I still have a bad back. We got sponsored by a drinks company and we drank all the beer before the show opened, so that's bad, isn't it? But there'll be the set this time is much more subtle. No bars and no sponsored drink, though there may be a drink afterwards. And the other reasons I'm delighted to do it is to get to work with the amazing Ben Barnes, which is a real treat for me, and to stand alongside my fellow Wexford men, Billy, Colin and John. So this is a unique event, and once off, well, maybe 5 or 6 times once off. So I would really urge you to get down here and support it, because this group of people will never be together again. So WexFour, coming soon, your way.
Okay, my piece is called A Dog and Bone. It's actually the other side of one of my short stories, which appeared in Tales from Waywater Pond. Very, very short story in that collection called Sussex Gardens, where a man goes to London in search of his runaway wife, who ran away with a fellow called Raimi Savage and ne'er-do-well. And I often wondered what became of her and what became, how the story might pan out, because in the story he doesn't actually find her. So I took a little look at the other side of that story. And, will she return with him? And he fears that Raimi Savage may have dumped her by now, and is he right about all of that? So I investigated that story. So it's a one-woman show, and she's talking to the audience, or talking to an unseen individual, basically. So it's interesting. It came out of that story, but I was already kind of on the story in real life as well. I kind of witnessed this type of thing happening. So it's a little bit one of the first stories ever told was Orpheus descending into the underworld, and that's a little myth that keeps returning in my canon of work anyway. So this man is a bit like Orpheus going into the underworld in search of his muse. So it's on in the Arts Centre. The Arts Centre, what does it mean to me? I was a songwriter before I did all of this, so my first gigs were in the Arts Centre. My first play premiered at the Arts Centre, and one of my last plays, we did an Arts Centre production of it and brought it to London. So I suspect it's where I started out, and who knows, with a bit of luck, it might be where I'll end up as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. It's 40 years. I was fairly instrumental in the beginnings of the Arts Centre, because in its early stages I actually wrote a stinker of a letter to John Small, who was the chairman of the committee at the time, of the board at the time. And I wrote a stinker of a letter giving out about the what's going on at the Arts Centre. Nothing, I said. No artists, no singers are getting any work out of it. And I was invited to tea in White's Hotel and given permission and the money to put on a concert. And I think I brought down Tiernan Og. And it was the beginnings of the pop side of the Arts Centre coming into vogue. Freddie White soon followed, and Clannad soon followed, and people like that. So I organised about maybe 10 concerts with me supporting them all. So I was getting a little leg up myself at the time. And then I would go back to Dublin and support them up there in the project, or Toners, or the Bag It In, or wherever they happen to be playing. So I remember the beginnings of it all, and it's nice to be here 40 years later. God, 40 years. Enjoy.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about erosion, then that's going to be part of the WexFour production.
Well, one of the phenomena along the Wexford coast is erosion. And I suppose erosion stands for itself before it stands for anything. In other words, that houses literally still do actually fall into the sea. But I suppose it has a resonance beyond that, which is the whole idea of time eating away at things. And so I was interested, not in the second part, in the metaphorical or even in the resonance, but just simply getting the thing itself, concentrating on what it would be like if you were in one of those houses along the coast, living alone, and of a certain age, where your habits were formed, and you realise that the sea is coming closer and closer to your house. And so what I wanted then was to have that solitude interrupted by a very subtly made offer of something that would completely change things. And one of the things you can do, I think, is have that where the reader, I'm talking to the reader, where the audience thinks, oh, why doesn't he do this? But the lovely thing you can do is withhold that, hold back on it, and have somebody almost. It's more interesting in a way to have someone almost doing something in a play, or indeed in any form of art, I think, than doing it. And so that's what the text of Erosion tries to do, capture a personality. And it was written in a way for an actor to work with, so that the actor, even by appearing on the stage, it's a lovely idea, which of course as a novelist you can't get, but the minute the actor appears on the stage, I think there's something you can do with a monologue that you can't do with a novel or a story, which is that you're imagining the actor coming out, and the lighting, and whatever atmosphere the actor creates in the first few seconds. You don't have that advantage if you're writing, say, a story. But in theatre you do, where the actor establishes immediately with a gesture, with a way of using shoulders or a face, or the lighting director does, or the director does with the actor, what sort of person this is. So it means you can leave much more out of the text, leaving it up to the actor to suggest, because the actor already has a sense of the personality. As soon as the light comes up on the stage, the audience gets that sense. And it's a sort of magic. And it just means when you're working on a theatre text, even if it's a monologue, you can really take advantage of that, realizing you don't have to put in all the details about backstory, the sort of person he was. The actor, in a single flick of the eye, can do that for you. You've got to leave that space for the actor to work with. And that's very exciting.
Fantastic. And just because the Arts Centre is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, have you any fond memories, any particular memories that stand out from your time?
Well, there was one, Derek Bulger had a friend called Sheila Fitzgerald, who was somebody who had an extraordinary life and a sort of vision of things. And it was during the opera festival, where I went in on a Saturday night to an event in the Arts Centre, and I sat beside her, and it was that lovely idea of people meeting each other. And we went downstairs and talked for a very long time afterwards. And I suppose the Arts Centre has always given people that idea, that, you know, Wexford town itself is placed between the north and the south of the county. If you're from Enniscorthy, you don't meet people from the south of the county. But that idea of the audience that goes there, people who sort of get to know each other, and so there's that. I remember that evening in particular just thinking, if I hadn't come in here, or if I'd stayed home, I'd never meet anyone like that. And she'd come out too. And it was some touring English show, you know, we both watched. But the important thing was not that, it was the going down afterwards with each other and having sat beside each other at the show, you know.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, we're looking forward to the production very much, and I know you can't make it then, but I know you would be there if you could.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the audience will enjoy it
Yeah.
afterwards, and thank you very much.
Okay.